HPC, HPS, or HP asterisk. You might have noticed that when shopping for a new retail garage door opener, these designations are applied to certain garage door models. In fact, they'll be associated with a certain horsepower, whether that's a 1 1/4 or perhaps a 1 1/2. Nevertheless, there's certain confusions about these designations. And in this video, we're going to clear up that confusion because again, they're related to the horsepower of these garage door opener models. Sort of. Let's party. So before you start asking in the comments, this is a little dead cat on top of a wireless mic. I just want to make sure my audio is good. And what I want to highlight specifically in this video is the fact that we have a lot of retail garage door openers that have been given certain designations with regards to horsepower. Now, when you think about horsepower, think of basically the strength or torque or speed that is related to how your garage door will open and close. Now that's very important because certain garage door systems will require a stronger motor than others. And what I mean by that specifically is because if you have a heavier insulated garage door or perhaps a custom wood garage door, you already know that a 3/4 horsepower, half horsepower may not do the trick. Therefore, you might need a 1 horsepower or 1 1/2 horsepower to be able to have enough strength to lift up that door. So when looking at a retail opener, take into consideration that if your garage door is a lot heavier, a lot beefier, a lot stronger, well, these retail garage door openers will probably get the job done for a little while, but it may not withstand the test of time. So let's break it down for you because in essence, what we really want to keep in mind is that horsepower is basically a measurement of power for AC motors. Now that's an important statement right there because if you remember garage door openers in the past, the majority of them were AC motors. There were those really nice electrical motors, beefy in nature, strong in how they were able to lift up pretty heavy doors. And that technology is still around. Nevertheless, we don't see it as much as the DC motors. And the reason why AC motors are probably going the way of the dinosaur is because they were noisier. Now with a DC motor, that's just not the case. A DC motor happens to be a lot quieter. It happens to be the type of motor that you should be able to get a lot of torque out and yet it won't make a lot of noise. Nevertheless, when comparing AC motors to DC motors, we're talking two different animals. In fact, when you compare the horsepower to an AC motor and a DC motor, you don't compare them in horsepower, you compare them in newtons. That's where the HPC comes into play. It's basically a horsepower compatible or a horsepower similar, HPS. And that's where we want to clarify the confusion in this video, because if you are looking at a retail garage door opener that has that HPC designation, then you already know that it is going to be compatible, comparable, similar to what a 1 1 horsepower or whatever horsepower it says on the box compared to an AC motor. And you know, that's really kind of like misleading in my professional opinion. And I say that's misleading in the sense that when you look at a DC motor compared to an AC motor, there's some clear differences that show you that the DC motor is simply not the same as an AC motor. It's a lot smaller in nature. So why would I want to be very clear with a customer, with a homeowner, when they're looking at these retail garage door openers that have these HPCs or HPS or HP asterisk designations? Well, it's pretty simple because they could be getting a product that is clearly inferior in relation or correlation to the garage door needs. Now, if you have a non-insulated door, perhaps a single car door, maybe a 2-car door, no insulation, windows, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think you should be okay. But once you start adding insulation, once you start altering the door, making it heavier, putting better build quality and clearly changing the balance of that door, that's really the point. When your garage door has more to it, that balance, that torque, that strength necessary to lift up the door, it has to be in play. In other words, you have to consider that before making any purchase for a garage door opener. Now, why is speed factored into this? Well, simply put, that DC opener has a variable speed algorithm or software that will detect whenever a garage door has trouble lifting over the radius. One of the best things about DC motors is that they are low power consumption openers. So the fact that it's not using a lot of power to open and close the garage door is a great piece of tech. Nevertheless, whenever the garage door perhaps maybe hasn't been maintenance in a while, or you haven't applied any lube or anything like that, the garage door opener is going to detect that, and it's going to apply a little bit more torque, a little bit more power in order to get it up the travel radius of those track assemblies. So that's a really important point when thinking about speed. Of course, I don't necessarily care for a fast opening garage door, and I especially don't care for a fast closing garage door. Remember, this is the biggest opening to your home, the biggest door to your home. I prefer that the garage door have a steady speed, so that way you can check all of your surroundings, especially as frustrated as we are sometimes just trying to get in and out of our home. There's just so many variables to take into consideration. And that's why, again, speed to me doesn't seem like a really big selling point. Just keep in mind that the horsepower will regulate, I should say the newtons to the DC openers will regulate whenever it needs necessary power in order to go through the track radius. And that's why it's important that we're completely honest, because when a customer calls me or perhaps maybe highlights the fact that they want a 3/4 horsepower, 1 horsepower, 2 horsepower garage door opener, has lightning fast speeds, that's kind of like a red flag for me in the sense that, okay, well, how will I be able to convey clearly to this homeowner the needs of his garage door, and more importantly, the realities behind these DC openers? So if you think about that right there, I mean, you know, when did someone tell us in the industry, oh, hey, by the way, let's let the homeowners know, let's do a big awareness campaign to make sure that everybody knows that the new DC openers are not true horsepower. I don't think that was ever done, at least in our community here. You know, you just saw these new Genie garage door openers or Chamberlains or whatever brand that was out there, and it was saying, you know, oh, it's now a 1 1/4 horsepower. And people are just like, great, I'll take that one, more power, stronger. Yet no one at Home Depot is going to care about saying, you know, yeah, that's going to have a variable speed. It's a DC opener measured by newtons, not true horsepower. No, those people are simply trained to say, sure, looks good. I'll put it in a cart for you. I'll have it ready for you. Go ahead and take it on home. Oh, by the way, we sell services to install them. They don't have the expertise as a professional. And that's what I think I really want to make sure that I highlight, is because if you are looking at a new garage door opener and just confused about all these things, maybe hiring a professional is going to be the better way to go. Now, if you don't want to hire a professional, I completely understand. That is your right, and therefore, that's why I make these videos, to help out the community. So thinking in terms of what would I do if I was looking at a retail garage door opener and choosing the right opener, well, I would make sure that the HPC, HPS rating is best for the garage door again. And don't hesitate to consult an owner's manual or contact the manufacturer directly. In fact, Genie's website has a lot of great information about their retail garage door openers, and so does Chamberlain. So the gist of this video is HPC, HPS, and HP asterisks are simply designations to help homeowners understand when they look for a retail garage door opener that they are equivalent to a certain horsepower. The garage door openers that you can find today at your retail stores, if they don't say that they're AC motors, they're gonna be DC motors. And keep in mind that before buying a garage door opener, you want to consider your garage door first, because your garage door needs will be the whole basis, the foundation of looking for a strong garage door opener in the retail channel. So just consider that. Do a door balance check. Make all the effort necessary to know first what your garage door system is, what type of garage door you have, the building materials behind it. And that way you can basically know where to go to from there for a new garage door opener. Now, one of the things that I like to do in these videos is I like to reach out to the community, especially within my colleagues, those within the community. If there's a garage door, retail garage door opener that you've liked and you've installed, has had no problems on a heavy insulated garage door, please chime down below. We'd love to hear from you. In the same respect, if you are not a garage door professional, and you're a DIYer and you had no problem finding a horsepower, I should say a horsepower equivalent DC opener for your garage door, which one did you choose and how's it doing? How's it working? Was the installation easy? We also want to know about that experience in the comments below. Of course, on this channel, we have a number of videos that talk about garage doors, garage door openers, even garage door maintenance. So let's keep this party going. Check out one of these videos right here. As always, I want to thank y'all for partnering with me. Y'all stay safe.